Welcome back, everybody. I hope you're all doing really well. Today, I want to look at 8 of my favorite Fractal audio amp models, and we're going to use the FM3, but you can play along with either your FM3 or the FX3. I was asked about this recently, basically to put together a list of my favorite amp models, and the reason I decided to narrow it down to only 8, I could probably easily choose 80 of these things, was that in the FX3, you can have 2 amp blocks with 4 amp channels each. So you could cram 8 amps into one preset. So that's why I went with 8. Even though I am using the FM3, you can have up to 4 channels on any amp block in the FM3. So you could easily spread these across 2 presets, but I'm going to do standalone presets. For all of these, I'm playing my 77 Strat with ML pickups by Sir in it at the moment, and we're going to start with my favorite really clean amp, the Shiva Clean. At the stock settings, it's nothing too much to write home about. It's not until you kind of push the master volume and give it a little bit of treble, pull out a little bass, and add a little bit of input drive that it really comes to life. And I love this on this guitar with the neck and middle combination. So really nice and jangly, but I particularly love it with a big Plex reverb and a multi-delay block for big ambient sound. Absolutely heavenly. So that's my favorite really clean amp, and that takes a compressor in the front really nicely. It also takes drives in the front really nicely, so it's actually quite versatile. Let's go to the second amp, and this one is my go-to for kind of chime and grit. It's the AC20 12AX7 treble. This is based around a Morgan AC20, which is like a refined Vox model. Let me turn this reverb off for now. I'm using a factory cab here, these York Audio factory cabs based around a Celestion Blue speaker, which is kind of the natural, authentic choice with a Vox style amp. And at the stock settings, this is just wonderful stuff. You really don't have to do too much. I might bring the high cut down a little bit if I was playing a slightly darker guitar, or if I was playing on the neck pickup. And you know, if you bring the input drive down and add some reverb, this is really nice for kind of just clean stuff as well. It's really touch sensitive if you play fingerstyle as well. Easily my favorite edge of breakup amp in the FX3. Up next, we've got the Deluxe Tweed model. This is like another notch along from the AC20. It's a bit grittier, it's got a bit more attitude, it's kind of snotty, and it is wonderful with the brighter positions on a Strat for kind of swampy tones. Basically, all you have to do is turn this tone control up and you get what you want. beautiful stuff with a Les Paul. I'm going to stay with this guitar because we're going to move on to the next amp, which is the Brit JM45, one of my favorite amps of all time in the real world, and it sounds great here. I like to just turn the input drive down and the bass down because it can be a little bit tubby. You know, maybe pull a bit of mid-range out and add a little bit of treble. And this one, for kind of fat cleans, is just glorious with humbuckers. It's kind of like the ultimate blues rock amp as well. So that's the Brit JM45. I got that paired up with this LT TV Mix 2 IR, also an axe change. Let's move into crunch territory, and my favorite Marshall style amp in the FM3 and Axe FX3 doesn't say Marshall on it, even though it is a modified Marshall circuit. It is this Atomica High model. For all the high gain amps, I'm going to stick with this LT Brit 412 IR as well. There's loads of great sounding 4x12, V30, Greenback, GT 1275, Creamback, whatever your preference is for speakers. There are stock cabs in there to play around with. I'm just going to stick with the ones that I know and like, so that we can focus on the amps. And with the Atomica, basically just turn the depth down to 0, and I've got my like ultimate Marshall tone. It's great at staying in tune, as you can hear. There's quite a few things you can do with this amp. It actually works great as like a high gain monster as well. If you chuck a preamp boost like the grinder boost on it, and you add a bit of input drive and a bit of bass and pull some mid-range out, you really start to get some chunk. Not too shabby at all. I'm going to move over to my PRS. It really comes to life with the low tunings. Let's do that. The Atomica, it is a wonderful thing. Let's stay on the topic of chunk, and we're going to fire up one of the rectifier models. Again, one of my favorite real-world amplifiers, and these sound spot on. I'm actually going with Recto 1, so the old 2-channel Recto, and I'm going for the orange channel, but on modern mode. And with this, if we bring the master volume down on the Rectos, I find it helps tidy them up a lot. At stock settings, it is fizzy and flubby, everything you expect a rectifier to be. All right, what you need to do with these is bring the bass down, give them some mid-range, and I find adding a preamp boost really, really helps, particularly that grinder boost. Just kind of changes it into a different animal. So maybe it's not the most authentic Recto thing now, but I boost my real-world Recto all the time to get the most out of it, and doing it here. Wonderful stuff. If you like the rectifier thing, the FAS modern amps are really cool. The corn-fed model is really cool as well, as kind of a riff on the recto thing. All right, let's move on. The Uberschall. There was quite a few other high gain amps I could have added in here, but the reason I went with the Uber is we just released a brand new Ragdoll single, and I actually used the Uberschall model for the main rhythm guitars in it. So that's why it makes this list. And this is very much in between the kind of Atomica and rectifier flavor. It's like Marshall meets Mesa, in my opinion. Kind of what you have to do with this, I think, is bring the depth control down, back a bit of presence off, and don't be afraid to kind of boost the mids and the treble and the bass quite a bit. And similar thing, we'll add like a preamp boost. I like to back off the gain, and I actually like the 808 with this guy. So without it, kind of has this, the way I describe it is it's like sticky to play, which I really like. Again, some of the character of the rectifier, some of the character of the Marshall style amps in there. And with amps like the Uberschall, a lot of the time, like you can see, you do have to deviate from that all knobs at noon thing. Some of the other amps you don't have to, but this is one you really got to do some exploring with. All right, let's round this out. No surprise that number 8 is going to be the USA 2C++. Overdrive all the way up, input drive, bass down low, somewhere around like 1, mids down low. You know, this is all the pre-EQ stuff, pre-gain EQ. And turn the treble up on this. I like to back the master volume off on this particular amp. Bring the presence right down. I like to go into the preamp and turn the low cut frequency up. And then, you know, somewhere around 250, 300. You don't have to be too precise. And then give it a nice V curve with this. I like 6, -3, -6. These are just my go-to settings all the time. And then maybe add about 2 dB at 2200, and we have an ultimate Mark series tone going on. Adding a gate and a few other things to this can make it ridiculously tight, but you get the vibe there. And then for lead stuff, T808 boosts the level, and we get... Now, there are so many great sounding amp models in the FM3 and the FX3. I would really encourage you guys to dig around. If you've already done some digging, let me know what your favorites are in the comments. But for now, they are my 8 favorite amps in the FX3 and the FM3. I will tidy these presets up and I will put them on Exchange tonight. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any other questions, let me know in the comments. I will see you real soon. Cheers.